Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Strangers in Jerusalem YouTube channel. Just a couple things. Number one, check out my book, A Stranger in Jerusalem, Seeing Jesus as a Jew. Also, check out sacredspacetours.com to see our upcoming tours to the Holy Land. A few colleagues and I are running tours. We're leading tour groups later in 2023 and then in 2024 and beyond. So come check us out. Come visit the Holy Land with us. We're also experimenting with interfaith groups, tour groups. So whether you're Protestant, Christian, Catholic, Latter-day Saint, Jewish, secular, whatever you are, come join us. We'll get you on the same bus. We're kind of experimenting with this because there's not a lot of people that do this. So if you want to have an experience with other types of people in the Holy Land, or if you want your own group, we can plan that tour for you as well. So check out sacredspacetours.com and come join us. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so let's go through a few more things to get an idea of how people saw the Messiah or what they had hoped. So at Caesarea Philippi, toward the end of Jesus' ministry, when Jesus told his apostles that he has to go to Jerusalem and be killed, Peter takes Jesus aside, and in Matthew 16:22, he says, "God forbid it, Lord, this must never happen to you." Also in Luke, after Jesus dies, two non-apostles who are walking to Emmaus from Jerusalem, it says they were saddened. They were very sad. Jesus appears to him, but he was in disguise. They didn't know it was Jesus. And they told Jesus says, "What's wrong with you? Why are you sad?" And they said, we have hoped that our great prophet, we had hoped he was the one to redeem Israel. This is Luke 24:13 through 21. We had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. In Matthew, also, some of Jesus' apostles, this is after the resurrection, they doubted. It says they doubted after they met the resurrected Jesus. This is Matthew 28:16 through 20. It doesn't tell us the nature of their doubt. It doesn't say that they doubted that it was really Jesus. That could have been the doubt. But what they were seems what they were worried about or confused about is that he is still the Messiah, and is he coming back to redeem Israel? Like, what's going on here? It was confusing to them of how these events took place. And if we couple that with the book of Acts in chapter 1, when Jesus comes to the apostles for the first time, the very first question they ask, or the first statement, it wasn't, "Wow, Jesus, you're here, and how did this happen? You're resurrected." It wasn't anything like that. The very first thing they say is, "Lord, is this the time when you will restore the kingdom to Israel?" You see, their whole worldview is wrapped up in this expectation of a Messiah coming to redeem Israel. That's in everything that they were anticipating and thinking about. Also in Paul, in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 23, Paul says that the crucifixion of Jesus is a stumbling block to Jews. This is a scandalon, is what he calls it in Greek, scandalon. This is a scandal. This is a stumbling block to Jews. They just can't. The Jewish world was not prepared at least from their sacred texts of the Hebrew Bible, they were not prepared for a Messiah who would be killed and humiliated, subdued, and defeated by his enemies. Another question that I have for my students is that if Jesus' identity was unclear to those closest to him, including his family, right? If you remember his family, they thought he was nuts. According to Mark, they came to Peter's mother-in-law's house. They told Jesus to come out. It says because they thought he was crazy. And then that's when Jesus sort of ignored them. So even some of his family members might not have been quite sure of who Jesus is, what his identity, what's his mission. If that's true, if his identity is unclear to those closest to him, then what does that tell us about his ministry? Well, what that tells us is that Jesus wasn't clear. He didn't spell it out for everybody. And if he did, they didn't understand it. So we have to keep that in mind. And we have to, when we read the New Testament, we have to realize that there's some vague parts. There's a miscommunication somewhere. And the people around Jesus aren't putting all the pieces together. It's not because they were stupid. It's because Jesus just didn't spell it out for them.